Seattle's Office of Police Accountability is also looking into new allegations that a police captain was given preferential treatment after being arrested for soliciting a prostitute. King 5's Chris Daniels has that story.
Whether or not the captain received preferential treatment from his chain of command, and that's definitely an aspect of the case that we're going to look into. But
that's the reaction tonight from Andrew Meyerberg, who heads Seattle's Office of Police Accountability, to allegations officers gave preferential treatment to a police captain arrested in a prostitution sting.
May I talk to the sergeant?
The Seattle Times broke the news that body cam video showed the arrest of Captain Randal Woolery and a sergeant telling Woolery he would make the arrest as painless as possible before turning off the camera.
Can we go around the corner for a second?
Yeah, that's fine. I'm going to turn off the camera just for a minute.
The Times says Woolery was in contact with high-ranking officers almost immediately and taken downtown instead of the North Precinct, where he was given an expedited booking and release. King 5 told you about the arrest last November, part of an Aurora Avenue prostitution sting. Woolery, who reviewed use of force cases, has been on paid leave since, charged with sexual exploitation. The misdemeanor case has been held up because of the COVID crisis, while he also continues to serve as a Snohomish County Fire Commissioner. The allegations add a new layer as reform remains a hot topic in this town.
Turning off of the body cam has been looked at, investigated, and was deemed to be a violation of policy. And before she retired, Chief Best had approved that case and imposed discipline on the sergeant.